Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today, I'm going to be seeing that Poltergeist remake, as everybody knows it. Basically, I think it's gonna be stupid. I haven't seen the original film, so I don't know how good or bad that movie is, and I don't know any connections this movie's gonna have to that. I'm sure it's ripping off some famous imagery. I know this movie is advertising the puppet, though, a lot. But, to me, this looks like some sort of jump scare fish. And you know society is really going down the hill. When all horror movies these days are jump scares, that's all they are. And the trailers are spoiling the jump scares. It's like the two bad things have merged their evil forces. You know? Because horror movies are so bad that the only good thing about them is jump scares, and the trailers have to spoil them in order to work. That's just so great. I love it. Though yeah, mostly the trailer just consists of spooky clown, brah! Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but this one time I was in a theater and there were 3 commercials in a row with the premise for a movie with the premise of a kid is adopted into a family and then paranormal crap happens to him. That was the premise for 3 different movies in a row, and Poltergeist remake was one of them. So, yeah, luckily I don't really have to see the original to know if this one's good. I'm just gonna judge it on its own terms, because technically that's what it's supposed to be doing. Not making it so that people who've seen the real movie would understand. Yeah. So, I guess we will see how it is. Well, once again, did not see the original movie, so forgive me if some of these plot points make sense in context, but as for the movie, the only thing I do know about the original is that it's a basic premise, is that a family moves in to this neighborhood, and it happens to be on the site of an Indian burial ground, like it started that cliche, the Indian burial ground, and there's a poltergeist there and it's angry. That's all I know about what happens, and apparently there's a clown doll in it. But, funny thing is, there's actually a line in this movie where they say, like, where like they're commenting about how it was built on a cemetery. See, it's not an Indian burial ground, it's a regular burial ground. Yeah, they said it's a cemetery. I said, what, you think, at least it's not a tribal burial ground. Yeah, they do that. Anyway, they, and there was a spot earlier in the movie where the dad character, like, almost seems to be making fun of these horror movie cliches of today, of, like, basically how it's monsters going blah, 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 and there's no real build-up or anything to it, just blah, and that's all there is anymore, and it's just jump scares. Like, it's not really being frightened, it's just having someone shout in your ear. But he kind of makes fun of that. But it's kind of funny because the first 2/3 of the movie are that. It's tired, cliched. About the only thing it has going for it is that its characters have somewhat of a personality, and that's about it. That's the only thing that kind of separates it from any other generic mainstream horror film out there. And then, during the last third, it kind of throws you for a curveball, and believe it or not, totally telling the truth here, it turns into a sci-fi fantasy action movie like the last third. Like, you could argue that during the first two thirds, it wasn't really scary, it was just shouting in your ear, but at least they're pretending to be scary. The last third, they weren't even pretending. Like, it was like, they live in another dimension. We gotta have this rope and it'll go through their dimension and out into ours. And we can go in there and we can kick some ass and we can get her out. Get this little girl that was kidnapped, we can get her out of there. And there's like really badly animated CGI zombies and stuff, and they aren't even jump scaring, they're just there. And it's just a very odd choice. Like, maybe in the original movie, like, it works, maybe it keeps that tone all the way through, but in this movie it's really odd and out of place, and it makes me wonder, like, what was the thought process in doing this? Because, like, they're not even trying to be scary anymore, it's just being over-the-top action, and it's just confusing. And the funny thing is, I kind of want to love it, because at least it's not, like, fully cliched, but on the other hand, it's awful. Can you kind of see the conflict there? It's like a dilemma. Sure, it's unique, but it's uniquely awful. As I said, about the best thing it has going for it is its characters. It has likable characters. And most of them aren't one-dimensional. There are a few, the teenage daughter, for example, but yeah, like, and I had a very overreactive audience. I had two people who were shouting out their comments. It was the two people who do the "don't go in there" shout. You know, those guys, they're in horror movies. There's two of them. And, oh, whoa, what do you... During the last third, nobody knew what to say. Nobody was doing the, or the, or the, It was just, okay. Like, you're not scared by that point, you're just like... I felt bemused. I don't know what mainstream audiences might think, but I was just like... I don't understand how it's going from this point. Like, there seems to be missing a few segments along the way in order to reach this area. I don't get it. But that's the choice they went with. And yeah. That makes it especially silly that they said that they made fun of the idea of it being a tribal burial ground, when this movie has stuff way sillier than that in it, and it tries to pass it off as serious, almost reminding me of that Haunting remake, the one where they honestly think just CGI ghosts are scary, even if there's no build-up and no real context to them at all. They're just scary. Although it's not quite as bad as that movie. That's not, no, it's not that bad all the way through. Just the last third is very confusing. Basically, I'd almost recommend this movie. I don't know whether I should. Because definitely it's unique. It's slightly better than most mainstream horror films. Better than Unfriended. More unique than Unfriended, I'll give it that, but it's awful. Plain and simple. It's been a while since I've seen a movie that's just plain awful for awful's sake, and not just awful for specific reasons. If that makes any sense. I don't know. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dyer-Situation.